Hello guys, today's presentation is rotisserie chicken. Purchase or roast it yourself. So again, I have Karen Richey with the Kosciusko County Extension Office with me. She's the Health and Human Sciences educator there. So we're going to present this program to you. Again, this program is worth 1 point in your health and wellness program. So we'll go ahead and talk about rotisserie chicken, an option of convenience. So it can be found locally at several stores, and it can make a quick dinner or lunch idea for you. It can have leftovers from it that you can use for other meal options. And then you can generally, it's inexpensive and it's easy. It's less time constraint for you on cooking a whole chicken at home.
So there's lots of options there. There's
Yes.
lots of neat things, but I think one of the things that we have to think about when we talk about rotisserie chicken is that there's some nutrition and a great protein choice. It is high in protein. Actually, a 3-ounce portion has about 160 calories and a whopping 25 grams of protein. Now, that's going to depend on whether you eat white meat or dark meat, because dark meat has a higher fat content than the white meat. So again, as well as the protein content. The thing about chicken is we know it's a healthy food. It's how you prepare it and what you consume of it. But again, it's a good source of vitamins and minerals, and those being niacin, selenium, riboflavin, B12, and phosphorus, as well as zinc. So it's definitely a better option than fried chicken. And so when we talk about that, it's the fact that you don't necessarily want to eat the skin. I know a lot of people like that, the flavor of it, but that's where a lot of that fat comes from.
So is it really a bargain? That's the question. So prices vary depending on your location and the type of chicken that you're getting. So if you look at Costco, it's about $4.99 for a 48-ounce rotisserie chicken. So that equates to about 10 cents an ounce. That price has increased since 2009. A lot of us have seen prices for all groceries go up in the last few years. Walmart there is about $5.97 for a 36-ounce whole rotisserie chicken. So that equates to 17 cents an ounce. Kroger has a chef chicken that's $7.99. That's a 32-ounce whole rotisserie chicken. So that equates to 25 cents per ounce. They also have a Simple Truth organic chicken for $9.99, which is a 24-ounce whole rotisserie chicken. And that equates to 42 cents per ounce. And then Whole Foods has another one for $7.99. It's a 20-ounce whole rotisserie chicken, and it equates to 33 cents per ounce. So as you can see, there's a great difference in pricing when it comes to the per ounce that you're getting.
The other thing that you have to think about is comparison on finding the facts that rotisserie chickens are sold after they've been cooked. And that's the weight that they're being evaluated on. The other part is the water solution is added to fresh chickens that are being packaged, and that can vary anywhere from 2% added water solution to at least 15%. So that's a lot of pumping water into a chicken, so to speak, that is fresh, and where you would not get that water in a cooked chicken by having it rotisserie. There is a water and fat loss during the cooking process, so your finished cooked chicken will weigh less than your starting weight. Obviously, that's figured out. But again, you got to go ahead and estimate about 25% water loss by weight from your fresh chicken to your cooked chicken product. And I might add, when we talk about water, a lot of times that is kind of a brining solution, so it may also be higher in sodium when it's packaged that way.
So let's look at the prices as they compare to a whole chicken that's not cooked and how that relates. So for fresh whole chicken, they collected this data in August of this year. So for Tyson's, it was $9.56 for a 104-ounce whole chicken that was uncooked. So that's about 98 ounces when you take out that water weight that Karen was talking about. So that's approximately 73.5 ounces that you're getting. So the uncooked chicken, you're looking at about 10 cents an ounce for it uncooked. But when you're looking at it cooked, you're looking at about 13 cents an ounce cooked. So then if you look at fresh chicken leg quarters, again, they did this in 2025, in August this year. They looked at another chicken, the Tyson one for the chicken leg quarters, and they found that those were about $6.72 for 160 ounce of uncooked chicken leg quarters. Once you take the water weight into consideration, that's about 155 ounces. So approximately the final weight is going to be 116 ounces. So again, uncooked, that's about 4 cents an ounce uncooked. Again, when it's cooked, it's about 6 cents an ounce uncooked. Then they looked at fresh, boneless, skinless chicken breast. Again, like Karen said, we don't want to try to eat that skin. So Tyson was $13.69 for a 60 ounce uncooked. Again, when you take into the water weight, that would bring it down to 56 ounces. And the approximate after cooking, it ends up being 42 ounces. So that equated to 24 cents per ounce for uncooked. And then for cooked, 33 cents an ounce cooked.
So prices do vary. I mean, you have to think about it. I mean, but you also have to think, what's your time worth? And so the time that it takes to prepare a chicken, if you're roasting a chicken, it really doesn't take that long. But if you're frying a chicken, it's going to take a little bit longer. So you have to think, I'm a busy mom, I'm a busy working woman. I need to make sure that my time is spent wisely. Maybe it's picking up that rotisserie chicken and in essence of cooking or buying a chicken that's fresh and then cooking it. So the cook time, the prep time, and the shopping time for additional ingredients, because a lot of times you may want to put seasoning on that you might not have, or if you're frying a chicken, it may be, let's say you're going to do thighs or legs, and again, I know a lot of people use air fryers. So again, a lot of that is frozen chicken pieces that they're putting in an air fryer. But if you're frying it on a frying pan, it's going to take a little longer. So all of this you have to take into consideration is what's your time worth. Right. And I know I love chicken salad that my mother used to make, and my sister makes it a lot of times. And I said, oh, it tastes so good. And she said, well, I go to Costco, and not that I'm promoting Costco, but that's where she goes to get her chicken. And I buy a rotisserie chicken. It's already cooked. All I have to do is debone it, and I make my chicken salad from there. So it's a convenience factor. So again, what are you looking for, so to speak?
So when you look here, again, prices differ between fresh and frozen, like we already discussed. So if you look on your left side there, there's some frozen chicken breasts, and there's 5 pounds. But if you look at the price per pound, it's $3.09. So if you look at the right side for the fresh chicken that we have there that's uncooked, it's $3.73 per pound. Again, if you go down then to the bottom left for the frozen, it's $2.19 for those bone-in chicken thighs per pound, whereas the fresh is up to $5.23 per pound. So again, there is a lot of difference in the cost as it's associated with whether it's fresh or frozen, if it's a fresh chicken or even a rotisserie chicken. So you really got to compare it ounce for ounce.
The other thing that we have to consider is basically not only cost and time, but what is actually involved in that chicken piece, so to speak. So as I said before, it could be brine. So is it a higher sodium concentration because of the preservatives and other added ingredients? So rotisserie chickens can have those added ingredients, and they are considered what we refer to as processed meat, since it has been altered from its original form. So it's not the original chicken. It's been probably brined, as I said before, with some added ingredients. And so that's then, it could be used salts, preservatives. So again, it is considered a processed food. So fresh chicken is also considered minimally processed, again, because it may have some added sodium. So for 3-ounce serving, it can range from 170 to 550 milligrams, and that's plain chicken, as about 65 milligrams. So again, there's a lot of difference in sodium. I know this is not necessarily rotisserie chicken, but if we think about, I do a program, we both do Dining with Diabetes, and in that, we have a follow-up session that my group asked to have a comparison of nutritional facts from different fast food restaurants. And when we're talking about sodium, there is a particular fast food restaurant that focuses on chicken that a lot of people really like. We looked at the sodium content of that chicken, and it's heavily brine, and it has more sodium in that chicken piece than if you had beef patty, ground beef patty, a hamburger, and French fries.
Oh, wow.
So you really have to go back to, remember we talk about reading labels, also read the nutrition facts on all of these foods as well. So with that being said, there's some more things about cost, and then that would be food safety.
Yeah, so you really got to look at food safety when you're considering the cost too. So that rotisserie chicken should be eaten or refrigerated right away. We don't want it to be sitting out for longer than 2 hours for food safety. That's when bacteria and stuff start to grow on that food again, and so we want to watch for that. So check for reheating instructions and how they tell you to reheat it. We want to make sure that we get it back to an internal temperature of 165. So make sure that we're doing that when we reheat it. The chicken meat should be cooked to that 165 degrees at that thickest part of that chicken. Make sure that you're not hitting a bone or anything when you're taking that thermometer reading. But again, you want to go through that thickest part. So sometimes when we have those chicken breasts and they're smaller and they're thinner, you want to go through the end of it because that's the thickest part when it's laying there instead of going just directly down. So make sure you're using that heat thermometer even when you're reheating it and getting it back to that 165 degree temperature. Again, that's when all that bacteria and stuff that's been growing is killed. So.
And you make a really good point about rechecking, because if you think about rotisserie chicken, I mean, it's in a very hot environment when you're taking it out, or if it's at a kiosk stand type of thing, that they have to keep that internal temperature at a certain minimum. And so, but you take that, then you check out with your groceries, and then you drive home, and if you don't either put it in the refrigerator or you eat it, and double check that temperature,
yes,
you could have an issue. So again, food safety in rotisserie chicken is extremely important. So some of the other things that we want to talk about is what's the benefits of choosing and to prepare your own chicken at home. Well, you are in control with the chicken products that you choose at what cost and weight. So you might want, there's different sizes of chickens. So maybe a younger chicken's not going to weigh as much as a larger chicken. And so if you're roasting a chicken, it may be a little heavier, what you're looking for, versus something that you're going to fry, so to speak. So you're in control of that. You are also in control of the ingredients, the spices, the herbs. Maybe it's the sodium content. And if you have an allergy, exposure to some of the things that may be put on a rotisserie chicken that you're unaware of. You can also control the portions to limit or increase leftovers. So again, that rotisserie chicken may be just enough for a small meal, where if you buy that large roasting chicken, you may have enough for 3 meals, to be honest. You could have it for a dinner, and then any of the leftovers could be in that chicken salad or chicken and noodles, any kind of meal. So you're really in control of the portion sizes to limit or increase. And you might also think about limiting the exposure to preservatives. And I think, as I said before, whether it's a brine, or the preservatives that they keep it. So, to think about those, because there could be some possible health risks for those added ingredients.
So getting the best bang for your buck. So find ways to cook your whole chicken at home quickly to make a nutritious meal with little effort. So consider purchasing chicken leg quarters that are cut and possibly more cost effective. These can be easier to manage and can fit in a smaller kitchen appliance. Select recipes with few simple ingredients, so limit that. The fewer ingredients that you have will help minimize shopping time, prep time, and also cooking time. So it just really helps with all of that. Consider appliances like slow cookers that you can cook it in, pressure cookers to help simplify that cooking process and speed up the cooking process too, so you're not spending as much time in the oven.
So with that, we're going to take a little look at the slow cookers. Actually, they can be cooked on low for up to 8 hours, on high for about 3 to 4 hours, depending on the weight of the chicken, obviously. You will add a little bit of water. It's not always necessary, since water will come from that whole chicken, because we've said they probably have been added sugar water to them during that cooking process. And the chicken should actually reach that 165. So the only way you're going to determine that in a slow cooker is if you take that thermometer, as you said before. So you can try some different crockpot whole chicken rotisserie style recipes. They're out there. Obviously, we have one here, a site on the screen. So again, very hands-off process when it comes to putting it in the slow cooker. You know, put your herbs and seasonings on. But again, temperature for food safety is important. And so before it's done. So there's another process that you can use, and that is pressure cooker.
So I do this quite frequently myself. So it reduces your cooking time to about an hour, depending on the weight. In some pressure cookers, you can cook an entire whole chicken. Smaller cookers may require using leg quarters or chicken pieces. For myself, we use chicken breast and put it in there because it requires a slower or a less amount of cooking time than what it would for a whole chicken in there. So it reduces that time considerably. So again, the key is you've got to still temp it when it's done to make sure that that temperature is at that 165 degrees. You don't have to add a lot of water. It typically just a little bit of water to the bottom of it. Again, there's some recipes here for you to look at and visit to see if that would help with that cooking process.
Sometimes in basically a pressure cooker, you may not get that crispiness, so you can take it out and put it under the broiler or the oven to get that little crispiness as well, to add to the taste. But again, when you are cooking a whole chicken, it can be made in your oven as well. And that's what we refer to as spatch cook method. And that's a method of roasting poultry where you remove the backbone, so it roasts flat. And you can see there on that picture, the result is not only 30% less cooking time, but a very moist meat, because it's going to be less time, but it's going to be able to cook more directly to that. So using leg quarters or small chicken pieces can also save on cooking time. And again, this recipe is from spatch cooked chicken.
Another thing is recycling that rotisserie or home cooked chicken, whether it's the rotisserie that you're buying that's already cooked for you or the one that you cooked at home. The drippings can be made into simple and flavorful gravies that you could utilize. You may not need to add salt to those because there might already be a high enough salt content, depending on what you're adding to that chicken when you're cooking it. If it's the rotisserie, it could already have that high salt content. So think about that before you add that and taste it. Bones and drippings in the skin can be used to make homemade chicken broth. You can use some added onion, celery, and spices to it for that chicken broth. Again, watch adding salt to it because there's probably already some salt in there, especially if you're using the rotisserie. Some recipes don't require a lot of leftover meat, so soups or wraps As Karen said, you could make chicken and noodles. That's a great one that you can make with some of that leftovers. And leftovers can be stored in your refrigerator for up to 7 days. If your refrigerator is at that 41 degrees or lower, sorry. They can also be frozen if you're used within 3 to 4 months. So you have some different options with those leftovers.
Yeah, so I think, we've given you some information on what is going to work best for you. Do you want to do the rotisserie chicken, or do you want to buy a fresh chicken or frozen chicken and go ahead and do the preparation and cooking it in your own home? So not only is it time, it's a cost, it's also the nutritional factor because of the sodium content. But again, it's in your control, your choice of what you want to do. So I hopefully this information has given you something to think about, and we thank you for your time.
Thank you.